Broncos take on the Storm to open week 1 of the NRL Finals Series. I'm Paul Jodka, joined by former Penrith and South swinger Josh Mansour to unpack this one. Josh, good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait for this one. Finals footy, how good?
How good. Brisbane, it's been a great season so far, ending in second, but this is their biggest test yet. A home finals game for the first time since 2018 and against a side who they haven't beaten at Suncorp since March 2009.
I know.
Only 6 players have participated in finals footy before, and of those, just Kurt Capewell and Adam Reynolds have won a finals game. Are you worried they might be a bit overall?
A bit worried, but what better opportunity to get knocked off the monkey off the back than beating the Melbourne Storm at home in the first week of finals. I feel like they're really primed for this game. You know, they show that throughout their form all year, and they've got guys like Adam Reynolds steering the ship. And for me, the biggest question mark will be on Reece Walsh. He's so instrumental in that team, in the way they attack, and he's proved people wrong every single time. The perfect example is that first Origin game when he made his debut. There's always going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he came out and absolutely killed it. So I've got no doubt Reece Walsh is going to come out firing this game, and I'm sure Melbourne are going to be targeting him.
And that combination Walsh has, of course, with Adam Reynolds, your old mate and teammate, it's that combo that they'll be needing to rely on.
Well, this is where the money is going to come down to with Renault. He's so calm in those high-pressure situations, and that's why the Brisbane Broncos signed him in the first place, to get him to this position and win big games. I know when the pressure cooker, the Broncos are in the pressure cooker, that they're going to be relying on guys like Renault. So it's good to have him back, steering the ship, and I'm sure that no doubt that the Broncos will be leaning towards his experience for this game.
Over to the Storm, a great record against Brisbane, particularly as we touched on at Suncorp Stadium. So what is it about the clinical nature of the Bellamy system, and why are they so successful at this time of year?
I like to look at this game as like little brother, big brother. Like you look at the Melbourne Storm, there's such seasoned veterans when it comes to this time of the year. You know, they've got a great culture in place. Craig Bellamy knows how to prime his team ready for this end of the year. So for the Melbourne Storm, they're battle-hardened. And the Brisbane Broncos, they haven't obviously played that much finals footy in the last few years, but again, they're coming up against the Melbourne Storm that have so much experience, but I'm sure the Broncos do have a game plan to kind of unravel the Storm. But the biggest thing for me, the Storm know how to put pressure on opposition teams very, very well, particularly in finals situations. So for the Brisbane Broncos, they are going to be in the pressure cooker. It's how they handle that pressure, particularly in big moments. Will go a long way and win this game, so I can't wait for this one.
I know you've talked about Ryan Pappenhausen a bit in the last couple of weeks, but we've now got a real sneak peek on how Craig Bellamy intends to utilise him for this final series. Do you think it is going to be in that bench role roving around?
I feel like the bench role is definitely going to suit him to a T. Not that much game this year, obviously coming off the back of a pretty big injury, so you know, Paps can fill in a lot of positions, outside backs, in the halves, but no doubt when he comes on, especially when those tight middles are fatigued around 50, 60-minute mark, that's when he's going to shine. And I feel like Craig Bellamy has hit the nail on the head and started him off the bench.
Great stuff, thanks Josh.
No worries.
If you want to see this match live, you better hurry, as tickets are selling fast. Simply head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can still watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kick-off is at 7:50 p.m. The Panthers host the Warriors in the qualifying final at Bluebet Stadium in Penrith. I'm Paul Jodka, joined by former Panther flyer Josh Mansour to go through this one. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Let's start with Penrith. They get pretty much everyone back on deck besides Jerome Luai, and they're really looking to make their couple of season's wins into a dynasty.
Bad time for the Warriors, playing at Bluebet Stadium, such a fortress for the Penrith Panthers as of late, and of course, again, the Penrith Panthers form in the last few years, they are the king, the heavyweights of this competition, and I think the biggest question for me going into early this season was how they're going to maintain that intensity. Achieving so much already in such in a short few years, of like what is in it for them. And I remember going back in 2020, the biggest thing for me and what the takeaways I got from that was they wanted to create a legacy. And they've got a lot of takeouts from the New England Patriots with Tom Brady there, and I feel like the Penrith Panthers that's what they're trying to do at the moment. They're in a dynasty period, and they all know that, and they're just going to take it game by game. They don't think too far ahead, but the Penrith Panthers are going to be very, very hard to beat.
The forward pack goes a bit unheralded in this star-studded squad, but Kiwis, James Fisher-Harris and Moses Leota, they'll want to stand up and show it against the Warriors.
They're Bash brothers, 100%, especially coming up against Aiden Fanua-Blake and Mitch Barnett. So, you know, it's got to be a big heavyweight clash. I can't wait to see it. And I know those kind of guys, they love flying under the radar. You know, Fisher-Harris, Moses, they're quiet kind of guys, and they like to do all the actions, the actions do the talking, I should say. So it's going to be a big game. I love seeing this try when Moses scored, and I'm sure all the boys are going to get around him. And, you know, Nathan's kicking game is all off the back of their go forward and laying that platform.
Let's turn to the Warriors, and this is a team that moulds themselves on the team we just talked about, the team they're playing. Coach Andrew Webster, he came over this year from the Penrith system. Three of their key players, Tamaria Martin, Wade Egan and Dallin Watene-Zelezniak are Panthers juniors. Let's talk about how this method, you know it better than anyone, has really worked. Now it's been brought over to the Tasman.
Well, when you see Ivan took control of the Warriors a few years back, they kind of played with a very, very similar style that the Penrith Panthers are playing now. So, and I'm sure Andrew Webster has taken that similar ideology and taken it across the Tasman. So I feel like it's going to be an end-to-end game. Obviously, it's been working for the Warriors as of late as well. So it's got who's going to break first in this arm wrestle. They're both got to, go throw the punches, just like a boxing match, and they're going to throw that haymaker in that round 11, round 12 kind of analogy. So I feel like the Warriors, they've definitely got the star-starter team within their roster. It's very hard to separate these two, I have to say. They've both got star players, they're both playing with a lot of form. So with the Warriors, they've got nothing to lose. They're going to have to definitely throw everything at the Penrith Panthers, and next week they've got an opportunity to make amends if they lose back at home.
Well, that's the thing, either way, they do get a home game next up. Does that give them a psychological advantage, knowing that basically they've got nothing to lose with this one?
Oh, I think so as well, and I feel like all year they've been the underdogs, and there's no different here. So I feel like they're definitely relishing that game tag, and again, like I said, they have to throw everything at Penrith Panthers. The Penrith Panthers are very structured, they're very technically sound, and I know one thing for certain, that the Warriors do have a couple of tricks up their sleeves, so it's going to be an interesting one.
It'll be a great game. Thanks, Josh.
No worries.
Tickets are selling fast. If you want to see the match live, head to nrl.com/tickets. If you can't get to the game, you can still watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or Kayo. Kick-off is at 4:05 p.m. The Sharks host the Roosters in a sudden death elimination final. I'm Paul Shodka, joined by former Kangaroo Josh Mansour to go through this one. Good to see you, Josh.
Good to see you too, Paulie.
The Sharks name fullback Connor Tracy. He's been outstanding for them, filling in for the injured Will Kennedy, but it is unknown if he will play there after not able to finish last week's game. Kennedy could return, or your old teammate Matt Moylan will have to fill it in at one. Talk about sort of what those three bring.
Yeah, well, different dynamics. Obviously, Will Kennedy, first choice fullback for the Sharkies, has been outstanding all year for him and very consistent, very safe at the back, got so much speed, and is very, very hard to handle, particularly in one-on-one situations. No different to Connor Tracy. I've played with Connor Tracy all year, and he's such a great player in breaking tackles. He's very elusive, very quick off the mark. So they both got great skills. But with Matt Moylan, I should say, he's one of the best when it's 3-on-2 situations. I played with him a few years back, and he set me up for a lot of tries, I should say. So that should be no different, and I feel like it's a great opportunity for Matt Moylan to get back into that side and definitely earn his stripes again. So yeah, three good selection choices at the back there, but again, we'll have to wait and see on who picks up that number one spot.
And the Craig Fitzgibbon style of football really lends itself to gaining control of a match early, then playing with the lead.
Yeah.
They've only actually come back twice this year from half-time deficits, once last Sunday, overcoming a 6-4 half-time score to beat the 12-man Raiders, and in round 7 against the very team they're playing, the Roosters.
Yep.
How important is it that they score first and keep their boisterous home fans in the game?
Extremely important. Everyone's been talking about the alarming stat with the Sharkies all year, and it's their form against top 8 sides. And when you look at those games, they've always conceded early. So for me, the Sharks definitely have to come out firing. They've got to be the first to score, 100%. But they had the opportunity to do that. They're playing at Shark Park. It's been a bit of a fortress for them as well. So they are coming up against the Roosters side that now are the underdogs of the competition. No one saw them coming. No one saw them getting this far into the competition. So again, Sharks got everything to lose, but Roosters got everything to gain.
Over to the Roosters. You've said it. Winning 5 in a row to get into the 8, but now another elimination game. Looking at the games this year, they've only beaten 2 of the current top 8 teams. So like the Sharks, there's a question mark. They have, in the last 5 wins, though, contributed to knocking out Manly, Parramatta, and of course South. So maybe that gives them some confidence.
And all those teams are fighting very hard to make that top 8 finish. So yes, they didn't make the finals this part of the year, but again, those are very, very desperate sides trying to get finals position. So you know what, the Roosters have come out firing. To be totally honest, I did pull a red line for them a few weeks ago, but you know what, they're proving a lot of people wrong. And you know what, there was such high hopes for the Roosters this year, and now they're starting to kind of come together as a team and show everyone why they're such a heavyweight team and a heavyweight club. And again, I feel like this opportunity to get this far in the season is a massive tick for me, but it's also a big stepping stone for their season next year.
And these recent wins have been timed with the returns of the likes of Brandon Smith and Sam Walker, really solidifying their spine. How important are these two, along with, of course, James Tedesco and Joe Manu, who's been named?
Oh, extremely important. They're their spine players, and it's taken a little while for Brandon Smith to obviously get out of the blocks. That injury did hamper him, but it looks like he's fully fit now. He's definitely steering the ship. He's getting his forwards on the go forward, and James Tedesco as well. We can't miss out on him. He's been such an instrumental player for the Sydney Roosters, particularly as of late. Early in the year, during the Origin period, people wanted his head, and I'm sure he's silencing all those critics now. But the biggest plus for me is obviously seeing Joe Manu named with a hamstring injury a few weeks back, so not sure if he'll play or not. Still a few question marks around him, particularly with the muscle injuries. You've got to tread with caution. So if he does play, it's a massive in for the Roosters.
It's going to be a great clash. Thanks, Josh.
No worries.
Tickets for this are all gone, but you can still stay in the loop with all finals news and updates. Just head to NRL.com. And remember, you can still watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 7:50 p.m. Knights Raiders round out Week 1 NRL Finals action in Newcastle. I'm Paul Jodka, joined by ex-New South Wales winger Josh Mansour to analyse this encounter. Good to see you, Josh.
Good to see you too, Paulie.
The Knights are the in-form team of the competition right now. They have the momentum of a runaway train. 9 in a row, shooting for 10. Just what has clicked for Adam O'Brien's Chargers?
You do not want to come up against the Newcastle Knights lately, especially with Kalyn Ponga steering the ship. They've been outstanding, and they've just been hot at the moment. You just can't stop it, especially when you have so much momentum in the back. It's very, very hard to stop. So, the Knights are such a dangerous outfit at the moment. They've got one of the best back five in the comp, and this man is the biggest reason for that.
We all know how important Kalyn Ponga is to the side, but someone else is worth mentioning, and that's Dane Gagai. His combination with Dom Young on the right will give the home side a big advantage, especially running at a new-look Raiders left edge defence.
Well, you look at his efforts when he played at Souths, and he put Alex Johnson with how many top try scoring awards as well. So now it's Dominic Young, and he's obviously got the top try scorer accolades this year, and that's just freakish ability. So obviously he's going to the Tricolours Roosters next year, but I'm sure he wants to end in style. And again, with the Newcastle Knights, they're just trajectorying upwards, but with the Raiders, they're actually going down. So it'll be an interesting affair.
Well, let's go to the Raiders. Coach Ricky Stewart has had to make further adjustments to his back line with the suspension of Seb Chris. James Schiller comes onto the wing, and Jack Whiten remains in the centres, with veteran Jared Croker not included for now. Are you surprised by these changes so late in the season?
It's a bit of adversity for the Raiders, but they haven't been short of adversity all year, to be honest. So obviously they still possess a lot of threats. Obviously a big loss with Sebastian Chris. I feel like he's definitely aided them coming out of trouble, but they got James Schiller coming in now, so hopefully he does a good job for them. But inexperience there, could put a hole in their defence, particularly on that left edge. But with Wyden there, he definitely just adds that that aura, and he's such a great centre as well. He's a natural centre as well. So I feel like with Wyden there, would definitely aid a lot of confidence in that left edge that has been struggling all year.
The forwards have led the way for Canberra throughout this season, but with no Corey Horsburgh and Josh Papali'i in this one, it will all rest on the former Knights player, of course, Joe Tapine, one of the best props in the game.
It just had to be on Joe Tapine. It's his former club as well, So he's been their biggest go forward all year. He always attracts one or two defenders every single time. So with Joe Tapine, there is going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders, particularly with Josh Papali'i not playing. But I'm sure he's going to take on that challenge. He's a big game player, and he's one of the best Kiwi players going around as well. So I'm sure the Raiders are really going to get around him, and he's going to stand up for his team when they need him.
Thanks, Josh.
No worries.
It will be an incredible atmosphere in Newcastle. It is a sellout, so stay tuned to NRL.com for all your rugby league news, and you can watch it on Channel 9, Foxtel, Sky New Zealand or KO. Kickoff is at 4:05 p.m.